Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today's presentation is about Loosh, the coming astrology with the solar eclipse on September 21st of 2025, and then personalized readings based on your soul star sign. What is a soul star sign? Well, it is the position of the sun, Sol, in the actual sky on the day you were born. That's right. We're not using the tropical zodiac in this presentation, nor are we using Vedic. We're using the actual natural sky. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to find your soul star sign, and there will be timestamps below for your individualized reading. The title of this talk is Your Energy is Being Harvested, and that is precisely what is going on right now, ever since as we were building up to this full moon for this lunation and for this eclipse. Eclipses are unknown energy. They can be erratic, they can be unpredictable, things can change very quickly. So we want to be very careful what we do with our energy. And those that know how to use eclipse magic will actually heighten the energy so that you will react instead of respond. What happens when you react? You get excited, your energy amps up, and then that energy is easily harvested. So I'm going to talk to you about Loosh. And then this is part one of two parts. The second part, the second video, will be based on your rising sign. These will both be members first videos, but I really wanted to come at this eclipse with as much analysis as I could give you from back here behind the camera. Obviously, if you want a really personalized reading how this eclipse might work for you, get a reading, if not with me, with your favorite astrologer, so that you know how to navigate these energies. But the message that's been coming through for me is that our energy is being harvested and that we need to unpolarize ourselves and anchor ourselves in what is familiar. So to that end, you'll be seeing me recording videos and sitting behind my camera. And maybe I won't do as many live streams because it's always a little edgy. It always feels a little edgy and nerve wracking for me to do a live stream. You may want to stay home instead of go out. You may want to wait before you make that big purchase just to see how this energy flows over you before you react in any way. So we'll go through all of that. I don't really have a whole lot of announcements, so I thought we'd just get into it. The announcements are interspersed throughout the video. So let me share my screen and we'll get into it. All right, friends, here we go. This is the moment of the new moon solar eclipse. This eclipse is a little bit of a stretch. You won't be able to see the moon occult the sun because the lunar node is a little bit more over here in Leo. They're about 10 degrees apart, and only the southern tip of South America is going to experience any sun darkening, and it will be very, very small. So this eclipse visually is not a big deal, but every eclipse can be. This one feels pretty intense, if you ask me. So here it is. Here's sun and moon at the early degrees of Virgo. Mercury had its cyclical Kazemi on the 13th of September. And that starts a whole new Mercury cycle. So a lot of new cycles starting here. This is a new lunar cycle, just like any other new moon, with the exception that it is hitting the eclipse marker. So here you can see that. Here's Mars conjunct or very close to Spica. And when this eclipse occurs on the 21st of September, the three-eye Atlas comet will be entering into Virgo. And we'll be doing a live stream soon to talk a little bit more about this comet and its archetypal meanings as it moves through these spaces. But here it is. This is the sun and moon right here. We'll have Venus in Leo. We have Jupiter in Gemini. If we take away the landscape, we will see Uranus in Taurus, conjunct the Pleiades. And then over here in Pisces, we have Saturn and Neptune conjunct. And then as we keep moving around, we see Aquarius and Capricorn. And this, my friends, is where Pluto actually is. Pluto is not in Aquarius. Let me show you. Here we go, right there between Sagittarius and Capricorn. And on the chart, it's 0 degrees of Capricorn if you're using the midpoint boundaries. So that completes our tour of the sky. And why do we care about these constellations? Well, for those of you that are new to astrology, the ecliptic is the path that the sun travels, and these are the constellations that the sun travels. So if you look at this red line, we will see the sun on this red line during the year as it makes its journey. So that's why we care about these constellations. And for the kind of astrology I do, we care about this 13th sign called Ophiuchus. It points directly to the galactic center. So we're doing 13 sign astrology that is aligned with the natural sky, and we have charts that reflect that. So let me go ahead and get into the presentation, and we will rock and roll. All right, the solar eclipse, September 21st, 2025, by your soul star sign. Your energy is being harvested, my friends. So when we look at well, before I get into this, let me just, this was a slide to remind me to thank you guys that are channel members. If I'm missing your name, I'm so sorry. There have been a few new additions, but these are the ones who have been with me at least within the last month. And I thank you so much for your patronage. I thank you for your support, your generosity, and your time. So I just wanted everyone to see their name up in lights and to just understand how grateful I am that you are here supporting me. So there's going to be three topics here. First, I'm going to teach you about Loosh, what it is, how to recognize it. We're going to talk about the solar eclipse astrology, and then I will get into the individual soul star readings after I teach you how to find out what your soul star is. So let's move through this. We'll start with Loosh. And what is Loosh? Well, you can read along with me with this. I'll basically present it to you, or you can just sit and listen. Loosh is a term that was introduced by Robert Monroe. He created the Monroe Institute, and he wrote a book called Far Journeys in 1985. And in that book, he described the emotional energy generated by sentient beings during their experiences. This energy arises from both high vibrational emotions, such as love and joy, and low vibrational emotions like fear and anger. There's a lot of that around, isn't there? In Monroe's cosmology, Loosh is a subtle substance of great value, not only to the individual who generates it, but also to the external entities or constructs that may utilize it or harvest it. The concept frames emotions as more than personal experiences. They are energetic outputs that contribute to a larger metaphysical ecosystem. So all of the pundits out there speaking to you over the airwaves, all of the online influencers telling you how they're feeling about certain things that are happening, they're trying to get an emotional reaction out of you. I am too, but I'm trying to get you to have it, recognize it, and use it for your own good. So we think about Loosh. We think about this idea that Monroe developed. But what is it exactly? Think of an event like this, like a concert, okay? And there's this feeling of love and joy and camaraderie and fun. But if you can actually recognize it in these spaces and in other spaces, there is a potential in your emotional states, and you can begin to take control of how this energy is directed. This awareness will allow us to move from unconscious energy production to intentional creation. This is precisely what those that might control you are doing. They're trying to get a collective emotional reaction out of us so that we will emote and give them our loosh. But you want this energy. You shouldn't just be giving this energy away. You should want to use this energy to serve your own personal growth, well-being of yourself and those around you. So when you can recognize it as a form of energetic currency, this is the first step towards reclaiming and mastering this powerful resource. Now, what harvests Loosh? A lot of people put names to this. They call it the Illuminati. They call it, our controllers. They call it white hats, black hats, whatever you want to call it. These are collectives of energies that are served by the energetic loosh that we create. So to be more specific, if you check out Vladim Zeland's work on reality transurfing, he describes what an egregore is in great detail. But you can Google this word or chat this word, and it'll give you a very fine definition. It's collective thought forms or energetic entities created and sustained by the shared focus, emotions, and intentions of a group. These entities emerge when a group of people consistently invest emotional or mental energy into a shared idea, belief, or purpose. So not all egregores are evil, right? We are using an egregore right now to transmit and receive these messages. YouTube, Facebook, X, all of it, your email. It's an egregore. It is alive because we feed it. Now, over time, egregores can take on a life of their own, and they can influence the thoughts and behaviors of the group that created them. Well, look at that. Google has their algorithm, right? YouTube has their algorithm, and they thrive on emotional energy such as devotion, fear, or enthusiasm, which sustains and strengthens their presence. So not all egregores are bad. Your school team, the team spirit, that's an egregore, because you sacrifice your time and your energy and your emotions for that team. So it's not necessarily bad. You're getting something out of it by investing in these egregores, as we are right now, for the purposes of sending and receiving this transmission. So some examples include religious deities shaped by worship, political movements fueled by collective passion, and fandoms or brands that inspire intense loyalty. So think about that for a minute. What do you give your time and your attention and your emotional energy to? When you're watching things, what gets you excited, sad, happy, angry, aroused? What does that for you? And while some of these egregores may have positive influences, others can perpetuate cycles of manipulation or control because they want your loosh. They stay alive with that loosh, depending on the nature of the energy that they consume. Understanding egregores helps us recognize where our emotional energy is going and empowers us to choose whether to sustain, transform, or disengage from these collective constructs. So you have a choice. You don't have to look. You don't have to watch. I'm not saying bury your head in the sand, but you don't have to cry. You don't have to laugh. You don't have to love anything. You don't have to hate anything. Here's some examples. This is just a screenshot. This is actually from a year ago because I did this talk before, but I think the way our collective energy is right now, it's helpful to review this. And I don't really want to get into the current events because it doesn't matter. The point is still the same. So it's death and destruction everywhere, or there's information that you don't have that you need, or you're behind the eight ball if you don't click on this. Okay. So this is how they do it. This algorithm, this egregore collects and your energy and makes you click on something. It says, give me your energy. It's like these little sucker fish in the pond of social media, just trying to take your energy away. And here it is. And you can leaf through your own feed and see what your feed is generating for you. Is it giving you content that's scary, that makes you want to click, that's trying to get a reaction out of you? And, you obviously don't want to go too far down any of these rabbit holes if you do decide to click, because a lot of times it's just opinion. And why are you getting upset about someone's opinion you've never met? They don't care about your opinion. They just want you to click. So, here it is, just from both sides. Like, how do you, like talking about the stock market crashing, and then using big names like JP Morgan to scare people, all these different things. So we can also create egregores of our own, right? We do this by focusing our collective thought forms on one thing. So you can focus your own thought forms on whatever it is you want. You don't have to join another egregore. It's going to make you feel bad for not joining. It's going to make you feel like you're being left out for not joining. That's the purpose of it. It wants to grow. So it's going to consume that energy and pull you in. So if we can create these egregores, we can also destroy them, but we don't have to do anything. That's the thing. We create them by our actions and reactions, and we destroy them by unpolarizing and anchoring ourselves in our own truths. Let me repeat that again. We create them with our actions, thoughts, feelings, direction, and we destroy them with our unpolarization and our anchoring of ourselves in what is authentically us. So you can create and destroy egregores. You can also conscientiously work with them, like we are right now with YouTube, like we are with each other, by taking what you need from the egregore and being okay with what you're giving. You have to understand that when you interact with certain egregores, that there is an energy exchange. If you're doing it consciously, honoring your boundaries, honoring your truth, then they can't harvest your energy. They can't drain you dry so that you're miserable and exhausted, but you get what you need from the egregore. I hope this makes sense to you, because this is what's happening to us right now as we are listening to this video. If you flip the channel now because you're done with this video and you go and you watch something else in the headlines that's more exciting, that's you giving your Loosh away, because the reward for you doing that is a dopamine rush, is a serotonin hit, is an oxytocin bolus that gets you going and keeps you energized. But you have to keep looking. So let's talk about some of this solar eclipse astrology and why I brought this up, because there's a whole lot of really, really interesting energy in the sky right now above us, and especially during this solar eclipse. So here's the chart for that day, and I have my marker out. So I thought we'd go ahead and just mark this chart up and talk about everything that's here, all these little lines in the middle, what all of these different placements mean, and then we'll go into the individual soul star signs. All right, let me grab my marker and we will get into this. So here we have sun and moon. This hashtag right here shows us where the sun and the moon are. And if we're using the midpoint boundaries, they're both at 5 degrees and 55 minutes. This is so much juicy numerology. I have been trying to do decodes. I've tried to do 2 now, and every time I do them, the computer ends up eating it or it ends up disappearing. And so I'm wondering if I'm either hallucinating my decodes or they're disappearing into a different timeline. At any rate, at some point I would like to, but Spirit said just do the astrology and the numerology will come. I also love the fact that our south node is at 33 degrees of Leo. You can't get to 33 degrees of anything in tropical astrology. So to be able to access, the 33rd degree of a constellation is can be pretty interesting, I think. And there it is. So 5 and 5 degrees. We also have Mercury here pretty close enough to be conjunct, just passing the Cazimi, which was on August 13th. So hopefully you guys were making your wishes. I'm sorry, 9/13. Hopefully you guys were making your wishes when that event occurred. So here we are, a new cycle of Mercury and a new cycle of the sun and moon, and it's in Virgo. Virgo is the priestess, right? This is initiation through discernment, truth telling, precision, clarity. Mercury woven into this eclipse carries the essence of words, communication, data, and interpretation. So it's not just this blackout of light, this eclipse, but this silencing of the noise so that a true signal can emerge. So I think we're going to get some revelations during this lunar cycle, if not on the lunar eclipse. Revelations. I think we may also experience breakdowns in systems of information that no longer serve us. So if the information systems that you're working with, whether it be paper, electronic, however you disperse and receive information, may have some unexpected hiccups here during this eclipse cycle. So that's really this sun moon energy here with Mercury. What's interesting is to also note the again, we were looking at the south node and the north node because that's what signifies an eclipse. And we also have the number 21, which is a Fibonacci number here for the north node. So we have north node in Aquarius, which is Rahu, and south node in Leo, which is K2, 33 and 21. So with the south node in Leo, the south node asks us to remember our innocent divinity. Remember how powerfully creative we are. Remember when you were a kid and you just played and you imagined and you created? This is like the closest essence to divinity that you can get, the pure innocence of a child. So to come back to that space where we can create, where we can love fully with our heart, is literally what Leo is reminding us to do. The North Node's in Aquarius, which is inventions, information, technology, AI, a spiritually advanced society that is also technologically advanced. So this is just the beginning here of this energy. And this is the axis that we're working on. And because we're crossing the South Node, the moon will now be going below the ecliptic. So when we see the moon over the next 6 months, we will notice that it is on the underside of the ecliptic as opposed to going above it. So when it's on this side, it travels above these constellations just a little bit. And then when it goes below the South Node, it travels below these constellations. And these south and north node drift in a clockwise fashion pretty slowly. So they're moving this way always. All right. So that is our solar eclipse energy. Now, both the south node, north node are and the sun and the moon with Saturn and Neptune are the spine of two grand trine kites. So we're going to break this down. But I wanted to show you this energy, and then I wanted to show you where sort of the tough energy is in this and how you can work with these two kites to your advantage rather than reacting. You're going to just respond. You're going to harness this energy of the full moon, basically not by sitting it out, but by holding your ground. That's really what this energy is all about. So if we let's take the sun and moon, for example, first. So sun, moon, and Mercury, all of these guys here are aspecting in opposition to Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, retrograde. And the kite energy, the grand trine energy, is with Pluto in 0 degrees of Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus. This feels very big and very karmic and something that I don't think we can control. It's almost something we have to flow with. Uranus in Taurus has always been about grounding the cosmic codes in your everyday here and now life. It's like, kind of sitting out in nature, grounding barefoot while, observing an eclipse. That would be like the perfect example of Uranus in Taurus. And the sun, moon, Mercury, and Virgo will activate the trine, forming this stable geometry. So here's the grand trine right here. This is something we just literally cannot control. It's just a flow of forces. So any stability that we think we're sitting on right now, because this is Earth, right? So Capricorn's Earth, Taurus is Earth, and Virgo is Earth. So anything that is earthy is being shook right now. There's a lot of instability, almost a liquefaction of the ground. And so that just feels really, really unstable, right? Disruptions, timeline slips. I even experienced a timeline slip just the other day. Pluto is going to bring profound transformation. And then Uranus is going to bring us revolution and evolution. So transformation, revolution, evolution with literally, Saturn and Neptune sort of melting structures, bringing structure to the formless. It just feels like if we are in a space where we try to control anything, we're going to be going against this powerful, powerful current of the grand kite. So again, this feels like this karmic inevitability. There's endings and beginnings that cannot be like undone or redone here. And so we really, this moon is literally saying to me, like, hold on to your hat, because what's happening is coming for you, whether you like it or not. So a feeling of inevitability and fate here with this particular formation. Now, if we look at to the second kite, which is really close by, this involves the nodes. So here's the spine here with the north node and the south node, making a grand trine kite with black Moon Lilith and Jupiter. And again, this kite, trines seem nice, right? They seem like they're very cool energy, but these are intense planets that are aspecting these energies. So again, another force of nature here, another energy that is very difficult to stop. This time it's air. So it's Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra forming this grand trine. And the apex of it is the south node. So we're sailing towards formless structure and structureless form inevitably. But we've also got the strength of our south node, of our remembering of our divinity and remembering that we are not in control, that spirit basically has our back. That's sort of how we have to look at this, because things are going to come up with this grand trine, things that have been banished, which is Black Moon Lilith. And it's going to feel very judged because it's in Libra. So there's this balancing of the scales. There's a judgment energy. So as these banished frequencies come up and through your system, through your collective, through whatever it is that you are doing, as they come up, they're going to expand. They're going to expand now because of Jupiter. And because it's all air and it's all mental, it's not going to be able to be hidden. Gemini wants to talk about it. Gemini wants to analyze it. The North Node wants to integrate it for the collective well-being. And so all of these judged banished energies expanding through the mental realms and coming up without any sort of filter. So not only do you have this sort of cosmic kite flow here with, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, this eclipse energy, the nodes are also saying, yeah, it's time for some real revelations, some real truth popping up and through here. This is just so, and I haven't even gotten to the squares yet, y'all. So this is like, and this is why I did the rising signs too, because it is much more personal and much more specific. So that's going to be the second video where I tell you exactly what house all of these planets are in so that you can do a further self-assessment and analysis with your own charts. I just think it's so important. I really can't tell any one of you singularly, specifically what to do through this space or how it's going to erupt or manifest for you. But I can tell you that there's an eruption. I can tell you that it's inevitable, and I can tell you that it's for your own good, and you really ought to just flow with it. But I can't promise it's going to be comfortable either. Okay. So that's this grand trine kite, this divine Merkaba that's also being drawn here. Do you see this? There's like a Star of David. These are always fated energies. These are always energies we can do nothing about. So here you have that. Now let's get into the squares. So let me change my ink color so we can look at the energy that is supposedly a challenge, because this is not really a challenge. We really just need to roll with it. But the challenge is going to be these squares, because I think the attempt is going to be to try to disrupt our role, to get us to react so that we are not in the flow. And I think you can see it already. So here we have Chiron, we have Pluto involved, we have Mars involved, and we have Jupiter involved. So most of these planets are not nice, and Jupiter is expanding into it. Okay. Venus is also making a square to Uranus. So everything that is involved, or at least the two planets involved in grand trines, also have squares to them. So let's do Venus with Uranus, because Venus squares are never really too bad. So this could potentially destabilize the relationship world. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes relationships get stagnant and you need to sort of mix them up a little bit, change things around, do something fun, kinky, and exciting. And if you are in a stagnant relationship, this is where you're going to feel this. This is fire coming to earth. Okay. This is physical sensation and arousal coming right to the heart. So aesthetics and values can also be destabilized. There's also an energy of electricity with Uranus, jolting personal and collective expressions of love, of money, of beauty, and into literally unexpected and unknown territories. Venus is expecting and desiring loyalty and adoration in Leo. It's just what her resonance is. But Uranus wants freedom, experimentation, quantum disruption, revolution. So together they're going to catalyze a reinvention of how intimacy and resources flow. And on the personal level, you'll just have to kind of go to your chart and find out what these houses are for you. Like, what house is Leo in for you? Like, so Leo is fourth house for me, and Uranus is first, or this is 12th house. So I have a 4th and 12th challenge here between these two on the eclipse. So that's what it would mean for me. Now for you, they may be in different houses. They may be in the 8th and 5th house, and that's fine. But yeah. So the point is, if you guys should get readings with somebody or do it for yourself, just really analyze your own eclipse energy so that you know how to deal with these squares. So that's Venus and Uranus. Then we have Mars opposing Chiron and activated in T squares with Jupiter and Pluto. So this is the wound of conflict, embodiment, and action directly facing the wound of spirit and surrender. So Mars, Chiron. This could also be surgical precision, cutting out the wounds, getting rid of the thing that hurt you. Chiron wounds, though, are not easy to get rid of. In fact, it is my theory that they stay with us our whole lives. We're simply meant to integrate them and to love and accept our imperfections as they are, perfect creations. They're there to teach us, to help us learn. So Chiron is going to insist that the collective revisit any unhealed fractures in their psyche. Mars in Virgo is going to express through labor and service and the body. Chiron in Pisces is going to retreat into the mystic. So an energy of like grounding in the physical earth and connecting with spirit here. This would be a nice balance energy. The opposition may manifest as a health crisis, burnout, or awakening through confrontation with limits. Like you actually realize, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm doing this because I'm trying to soothe myself and I don't want to soothe myself. I want to face that, so there might be some kind of like, finally, you're going to take some action towards what you really freaking want, which is so good. So Pluto and then Jupiter are going to cross activate this Mars Chiron opposition. And Pluto is going to make this pain absolutely unavoidable. So you're going to have to move. If you don't move, you're going to stay uncomfortable. You're going to be demanding from yourself to change. It's kind of like finally throwing away the pack of cigarettes or never picking up a drink again, stopping the patterns that keep you numb, that keep you from realizing how you react and how you respond. And then of course Jupiter is going to expand the scale of conflict. It's not like this is like a tickle or a scratch or something that's annoying. This feels very profound and very deep because of all of the planets that are involved. So I know y'all are expecting some love and light, and this is such an amazing combination, but it is amazing how the sky can change in just a few weeks. And here we are at a very interesting portal, which is the solar eclipse. It is a place where all the boundaries are mutable, they're difficult. And our Loosh is very vulnerable here. Our soul force energy, our life-giving chi is very vulnerable through eclipse portals. And so it's so important that we know when we're being asked to react to something and what do we get in exchange for that reaction. And that is how you consciously work with this kind of energy. This is how you keep your energy from being harvested. These squares, when they occur, you'll know it for you. You say, oh my gosh, this is the one that Dr. Danny talked about, this square between Chiron and Pluto, the square between Pluto and Mars, this opposition between Chiron and Mars, and then Jupiter just expanding the whole deal. You're going to feel this. And it may be different for everyone. 4th and 12th house is kind of like not public energy. So for me, it might be a very internal, personal journey as I go through this eclipse. And for you, it might be different. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and kind of pause on the collective information. We'll just sort of take a deep breath here, and then we will get into this eclipse by your soli-lunar cycle lunation. So each month of the year during your solar year, from your birthday to your birthday, you take the house journey. So during the month of your birthday, you're in a first house lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. We're talking about soli-lunar cycles here, okay? And I think I've improved the graphics a little bit to make it more self-explanatory as we get into it. But and then if your birthday was last month, you are in the second lunation, a second house lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. We move forward like that, but I'll show you as we get into the charts. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, friends, let's get into your individual soul star readings. But first, let me show you how to know what your soul star sign is. And before I even do that, I just want to run by a couple of announcements for you guys. The first one being the 27th. This is coming up really quick, like in just less than 2 weeks. I am one of the keynote speakers for this amazing event, the first annual Sidereal Astrology Conference for the International Sidereal Astrology Association. I will be discussing my research and discovery of the Phoenix angle, and I'm so excited to be there. So the link will be in the description below. It's free to register, free to join, free to watch us talk. There's Q&A, there's door prizes if you want to come, and I think it'll even be recorded. So consider joining us. And then also, stargazers, the members of my YouTube channel, our September Zoom call will be Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Please remember to check the post tabs in your YouTube community for the link to that. And if you want to join the channel, you can be a part of this call. It's only $4.99 a month. If you don't like the call, if you don't like the content ahead of time, you can always cancel your membership. But I invite you to come. It helps me. It helps us build this community and support this amazing research and bringing people together around constellational astrology. So I love the channel members. All right, how to play along. So we want to check where Sol, the sun, was in the sky the day you were born. So you can go to drdanny.com, free chart. And let me actually step out of this and show you what that looks like real quick. Okay, if you go to drdanny.com, you go up to the menu and you click free chart. It will take you to the free chart calculator. I don't even need your email, you guys. All you have to do is come in here, put in your name, your birthday, the time, where you were born, and hit calculate. Okay. If you don't, for the soul star signs, if you don't know your birth time, this is a really great way to figure out how these lunations are going to affect you. So even if you don't know your birth time, put noon in here and then see where your sun is and then go ahead and listen to the reading. Okay. So very, very easy to use. That chart on the website will look very similar to what we're going to be working with here very shortly. So you'll want to look for your sun symbol, which is the circle with the dot in the middle, and whatever constellation that's in, that is your soul star sign. Or, my loves, you can also just go by the dates. Okay, here's a list of the dates using the midpoint boundaries from Mastering the Zodiac to get your sun sign. So Cancer, here's your sun signs. Leo, these are your dates. So I was born on 8/4. I thought I was a Leo sun in tropical, but it turns out I'm a Cancer sun, and it actually fits for me. It may fit for you. Your rising sign might change, your sun sign might change, your moon sign might change. Sometimes they don't, but a lot of times they do. Look at Virgo, it's huge. The entire month of October is Virgo season. So don't ask me where October went because the entire month of October is Virgo, okay? Libra is a little bit later. It's November 4th to the 22nd. And then Scorpio and Ophiuchus, I lump you all together for this exercise because even the three systems that are available dispute where exactly the boundary is between Scorpio and Ophiuchus. And if you look at the sky, they're on top of one another. So to find the boundary where Scorpio begins and Ophiuchus ends is a little bit difficult. But rest assured that as the sun moves closer to the point of the galactic center, it's wholly in Ophiuchus. Whereas if we're closer to Antares or the boundaries between Libra and Scorpio, it is mostly Scorpio. It's more of a gradient energy. As the sun transits from the beginning of Scorpio to the end of Ophiuchus, you get a gradient, you get more Ophiuchus. And there's a whole like cosmology behind that too. Sagittarius, later in the year than we thought, from 12/19 to 1/19. So anyone born right around Christmas or after the new year, you are actually a Sagittarius. You were told you were a Capricorn your entire life, told you have to be stuffy and strive and work hard when you could have been partying and flowing like a Sagittarius. Capricorns, your January 20th to 213. Aquarius, Valentine's Day to 3/9. Pisces, another big constellation. So Pisces is when spring happens. 321 is right here. It's in this constellation. March 21st, I should say. And then Aries actually starts a month later than you think. It starts on April 21st. There's Taurus and there's Gemini. So this is for your soul star sign in constellational astrology. Okay, let's start with Virgo. So if you are a Virgo soul star, if you found out that the sun was sitting in Virgo the day that you were born, anywhere along this space, pretty much basically where Mars is back is going to apply to you. And this is a first house soli-lunar lunation for you. Okay, so this is the first lunation of your solar year. All right, let's read what this sounds like. So this eclipse will fall directly in your sun's home sign, and you are the vessel for its power. Sun, moon, Mercury unite in your skies, offering a profound reset of identity. You may feel your body, mind, and nervous system buzzing with a new intelligence as old illusions collapse. The opposition from Saturn and Neptune in Pisces challenges your partnerships and closest bonds, forcing you to clarify boundaries and speak the truth you've avoided. In the first house of your soli-lunar cycle, this eclipse initiates a new personal beginning. Your role, your appearances, your habits are under the knife of Virgo's precision. This is the time to refine how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you show up for your own life. Anchor in daily rituals that bring in clarity, purification, because the way you embody yourself now sets the tone for the entire cycle ahead. So this is not the house where your sun is, or it may be, but this is simply a new cycle, a new beginning for your soli-lunar energy. So if you're just following sun and moon, this is what you need to focus on for you Virgo suns, especially if you're early Virgo suns. All right, Leo. If you were born if your soul star is in Leo from 8/7 to 9/14, this is the second lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. Okay. This is you had your first house lunation, the first lunation of your soli-lunar cycle last month when we had the Leo new moon. Okay. So what you're going to find here is that the eclipse presses into the realms of values, money, and resources. Venus in your sign squares Uranus, shaking your sense of worth and demanding freedom from old patterns of financial or relationship dependency. This is not an easy reset, but it does carry a liberating frequency, teaching you that true worth is intrinsic, not external. The Earth kite grounds this lesson into material shifts, perhaps through sudden changes in income, possessions, or self-esteem. So yeah, that's where your shift's going to occur. Second house, eighth house shifts. So the second house of your soli-lunar cycle, this eclipse is going to reorganize the way that you measure value. Old attachments to wealth or recognition may dissolve, clearing the way for a truer alignment of resources with soul's purpose. The lesson is to hold lightly to possessions and tighten your grip on your truth. What you build from here must resonate with the integrity of Virgo's discernment, or it will not last. Cancer suns. So this is me, August 4th, from July 17th to August 6th, you are a Cancer sun. This means that 2 new moons ago, 2 months ago, we were having our first lunation of our soli-lunar cycle. Okay, now it is the third lunation, the beginning of the third lunation of our soli-lunar cycle. So this eclipse is going to draw our attention to communication, siblings, and learning. So Mercury is going to activate your voice, our voices. Saturn and Neptune will pull from the opposite end, revealing where our words have been clouded or silenced. The energy may bring confusion in close networks, but also breakthroughs in writing, teaching, or sharing your ideas. The eclipse is going to activate the web of connections around you as well. This is a cycle to refine the way we speak and listen, to name what is true, and to cut through misinformation. Practical changes may involve shifts in technology, transportation, or even relationships with siblings. You want to anchor in by creating space for honest conversation, even when it feels uncomfortable. So, Cancer, third house lunation. Gemini suns. Okay. So this may or may not be the house, may not be your first house that your sun is in. It might be in your sixth house. It could be in your ninth house. But for you, this is a fourth lunation cycle. This coming new moon and the full moon following it is the fourth lunation of your soli-lunar year. Okay. Now, for you, this eclipse is going to cut into the foundations of home, ancestry, and belonging. Virgo's scalpel reveals what must be reorganized in your family system or living environment. The Earth kite suggests that shifts in home may connect to broader structural or financial changes. So this is a cardinal relationship here. This is almost a square, right? Sun square sun energy. Family patterns may dissolve. Secrets may resurface. This eclipse is going to reset your private life. Ancestral stories may even demand attention. The task here is to refine your roots so that the branches of your life can grow in integrity. Anchor by tending to your home as a sacred space and honoring your lineage even as you transform it. So this is where you need to settle in and hang on as this wave goes over all of us. This is what you focus on, Gemini suns. Taurus, this is a fifth lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. It's all about joy and love. You had the difficulty of the fourth house square with the last new moon, the one before the last lunar eclipse, the one before this coming new moon solar eclipse. This solar eclipse marks the beginning of a fifth house lunation. The following full moon will be part of this fifth house lunation. So this is what your whole cycle is going to be about. All right. So opening up the theater of joy, romance, children, creativity, kind of like the light at the end of the first square of your cycle tunnel almost. Virgo's eclipse with Mercury will illuminate how you express love and play. Venus's square to Uranus adds a jolt of surprise to your romantic and creative life, demanding freedom and authenticity. So it might feel chaotic, but this is liberation for your heart. This eclipse is going to reset the stage of your creative essence as well. Old scripts about pleasure, performance, or recognition are burned away. You are called to express in ways that are truer, purer, and less performative. Anchored by creating art, love, or joy that reflects your essence, not what others expect. So this is how you hold on as the eclipse wave passes over all of this. Find out that true you inside and creatively, joyfully express that. You may find that those that you seek pleasure with will change. Those that you get into trouble with, those that give you an adrenaline rush, they may fall away from you by going through this change, through this eclipse. Aries souls. Okay, so some of you with a late Pisces sun, so in other words, if you were born sort of like the second and third week of April, you are a Pisces sun, but you may also feel into this sixth house energy. Okay, it's inevitable because Aries is so small and Pisces is so large. But for you guys, for those of you with suns conjunct Chiron, or those of you with Aries suns in that chart calculator output, this is a sixth lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. So you're beginning the sixth lunation. This next full moon coming after the 21st in early October will also be part of the arc of this sixth house lunation. And it's going to highlight themes around health, work, and service. So Virgo governs this house. So the reset is exacting. Mars in Virgo opposes Chiron in Pisces, revealing wounds in your body or in your work life that need attention. Overwork or imbalance will surface now, and Pluto and Jupiter will amplify the consequences. So really tend to yourself. Really watch that burnout this time, or you guys are probably will have a tendency to fall ill. This eclipse is going to reorganize your daily rhythm if you follow the flow of this energy. Old routines that erode your health will be cut away. The task is to refine your service into something sustainable to craft healing habits and to let your body teach you what it needs. You want to anchor through this wave of energy by creating rituals of care rather than cycles of sacrifice, even if the ritual is how you say no. Aries suns, late Virgo suns, or late Pisces suns, you need to understand this, okay? You need to learn to say no, especially around this cycle. You guys are fired up. You need to calm it down. You need to take it down 10 clicks. Pisces suns. Now, there is a caveat for those of you Pisces suns that whose sun is over here, closer to Chiron and Aries, this space at the moment. You may want to go back and listen to the sixth house lunation because it's very important. That's all about your physicality and your daily routines. However, if your sun is in the space where it is now on this slide, or if it is over Saturn, Neptune, if those energies are close to your sun, then this is for you. This is a seventh house lunation. This means that this new moon will mark the beginning of a seventh house lunar of your seventh lunar cycle of your soli-lunar year. So this is themes about partnerships, projections, reflections, that kind of energy, what you see in other people. So it's going to illuminate all those areas. Virgo is the polarity. And with the sun and the moon and Mercury here, the closest bonds that you have are under the eclipse light. Saturn and Neptune in your sign oppose the eclipse, dissolving illusions about who you are, especially in the relationships and partnerships. Some contracts will deepen, some will actually dissolve. They will have to, because what you're going to be going through is this unexpected, unpredictable change. And so the partnerships may or may not survive. Some will deepen, some will evolve, and some will dissolve. So the eclipse is also going to reorganize how you commit, both in love and work. Expect clarity about which partnerships support your path and which ones drain it. Anchor by speaking truth with compassion and letting go of the relationships that cannot stand in this integrity. So this is very important. And it may come with sort of knowing the self even more, maybe letting some of yourself dissolve and creating a new structure of self so that the relationships that you reflect and project on mirror that back to you. Aquarius suns. So this is from February 14th to March 9th. This is going to be the eighth lunation. This new moon will mark the eighth lunation of your entire soli-lunar cycle, your entire solar year. So it will have the themes around the eighth house. It will illuminate and plunge you into the underworld of shared resources, intimacy, and transformation. Virgo's detail-oriented scalpel cuts into depths, entanglements, and sexual wounds. The air kite with your north node invites collective vision, but only if you release what is toxic. The eighth house of your soli-lunar cycle initiates profound metamorphosis as well. Old patterns of control, secrecy, or entanglement may completely fall apart. And the task is to embrace this death as a rebirth, whether it's financial, sexual, or emotional. You want to anchor through this wave by what has been hidden and allowing liberation to follow release. So you'll know when this is coming. You'll feel this tension. You'll feel the toxicness. You'll feel the entanglements. You'll feel like you really want to break free from them. And when you do, then it's going to feel very liberating. It's going to feel like a phoenix moment, like a birthing moment. Capricorn Sol stars. So this is from January 20th to February 13th. And this lunation, this new moon, will be the ninth lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. So the full moon that follows will be part of the arc of ninth house types of energies for your sun energy. Okay? So for you, it's going to illuminate belief systems, higher learning, truth seeking. This Virgo energy over here with the eclipse asks you to refine your worldview. Saturn and Neptune may tempt you towards confusion or blind faith. And then Pluto at your threshold pushes transformation of your spiritual frameworks. In the ninth house of your soli-lunar cycle, the eclipse resets your vision of life. Education, travel, philosophy may be disrupted, clarified. If you're in a program, you may have to stop doing it. I always worry about eclipses when I'm in the middle of stellar foundations because sometimes people leave. They'll go away because their life will be disrupted and they can't continue their studies. Or you may pick up a new study at the same time. And you want to anchor through this wave by allowing your beliefs to be tested. Only what is real will endure. Remember this. This is an Earth energy, this trine between Pluto, Virgo, or Pluto, Uranus, and the sun and the moon. And so the earth is rumbling underneath, shaking the ground. Okay, so what philosophies, what truths are going to stand the test of this shaking for you, Capricorn sons? Sagittarius souls. This new moon marks the beginning of the 10th lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. So it's going to activate energies around career, your calling in life, and your public image. Virgo's new moon influence demands integrity in your work and service. Old roles may dissolve, especially if they were based on illusion or ego. Projects may go away. New projects may come into the framework. And this earth kite suggests structural shifts in your profession. So you might even move to a different building with this 10th house lunation. The eclipse is going to reset your direction in the world. Authority figures, career paths, leadership roles, they may shift dramatically. So your boss might change. You might get a whole new team if you were the boss. You might get a new CEO of your company. And you want to anchor in through this wave by aligning your public role with who you are deep inside, your deepest integrity, even if it requires leaving an old title behind, something that you previously identified with, but now you no longer do. So let's say you're manager or director of this or that or the other thing, but there's something else that's calling to your heart. That new title is going to be that new you that will emerge through this eclipse. All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, once again from 1123 to 1218. Your sun could be in either one of these signs on that chart, and that's okay. This will apply to you. Since your birthday, there have been 10 lunations, and you are about to start the 11th lunation of your soli-lunar cycle. Okay, so all the themes around the 11th house are going to apply to you for this eclipse and what might be disrupted or change in your life. So networks, friends, the collective vision. Virgo energy shows you which communities are healthy and which ones aren't. The air kite with Jupiter, Lilith, and 3-eye Atlas signals cosmic downloads into your vision of the future. So you're probably someone that I would recommend following the comet closely, especially since it came from your natal soul star sign. This is where it first came into our collective awareness. So this eclipse may reorganize your role in your collective endeavors. Some alliances will dissolve while new ones align with your authentic calling. You want to anchor through this wave by collaborating with those who share your truth and release the groups that drain your vitality. So authentic allies. This air energy, remember, it's going to bring up secrets. It's going to bring up energy that is banished, especially in collective energies. Things that were secrets that nobody thought could come to the surface are going to come to the surface, be expanded, and be wholly judged during this time. So for you, with an 11th house lunation and an eclipse happening 11 houses away from your sun, you may find that you have some enemies within your friend group and some friends within your enemy group. All right, Libra Sols, late Virgo. Okay, so this is going to be for you a 12th house lunation. So we started with Virgo suns, but these Virgo suns were in this earlier part of Virgo. Now we're talking about Libra souls and a part of Virgo, maybe from Mars over. This is where you're going to feel this 12th house lunation, because next month we're going to have a new moon in late Virgo, and the next new moon after that will be in Scorpio. So this is where you guys fall right here. And this is the 12th lunation of your soli-lunar year. And all the themes around the 12th house are going to be brought up through this eclipse gateway. The hidden realms of dreams, solitude, the unconscious, psychology, psychiatry. Virgo conjunct Mercury, well, Mercury and conjunct the Virgo new moon may reveal secrets or bring breakthroughs through journaling and inner work. Saturn and Neptune opposite in Pisces are dissolving illusions about health or service. So the eclipse is going to reset your spiritual life. You may be drawn to retreat, to meditation, or to dream work. Okay. And this is what is going to anchor you through the disruptive wave of the eclipse. You're going to be in solitude, letting the silence speak to you. And that is where the new intelligence will enter first, not through the noise, but through the stillness. So retreat, meditate, inner work for you, Libras and late Virgos. Thank you so much for your time and attention. This concludes the presentation of the soul star sign readings, a discussion of Loosh and egregores, and our astrology in general. Stay tuned for part 2. We will review this. We will also talk about really practical ways to anchor. And we are going to also analyze this eclipse by the rising sign. So you will be enabled to use both this presentation and the next one to help decipher what kind of energies you might be going through on a personal level. Once again, I recommend a reading. Get them from me, get them from someone you love. Do it yourself so that you know what's happening for you. Okay. And then also, if you liked this content, if you enjoyed what I presented to you, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're lurking, and I'll see you all in the next video. Namaste, my friends.